All right, today we are diving into a story about incredible ambition, a absolutely devastating failure, and a really powerful lesson about what wealth truly means. This is the Empire of Dust.
This one single, powerful line, that was pretty much the mission statement for our protagonist, Arav Mehta. Now, he wasn't driven by fancy cars or luxury, not at all. He was obsessed with understanding and completely reshaping economic control itself. This is where his journey kicks off.
You know, every great empire has an origin story, and this one doesn't start in a fancy boardroom, but in a small college hostel room in Mumbai. This is where that first little spark came to life.
Of course, Arav wasn't alone in this. He partnered up with Riya Sharma, who was a brilliant strategist. She had this belief that every emotion can be turned into profit. And what really set them apart was their approach. They basically ignored the dusty old textbooks and focused on the real world, studying why markets fail and the psychology behind how people actually behave.
So their first big idea was something called BarterLink. It was, simple but pretty revolutionary, a digital platform where a farmer could trade their crops for fertilizer or a tailor could trade their services for groceries, all without a single rupee changing hands. It was designed to plug rural villages directly into the city economy.
But the world wasn't quite ready for them. The banks flat out refused to fund them. Investors, they literally laughed them out of the room. But they didn't let that stop them. They launched the whole platform with just 15,000 rupees, and they got that money from pawning Arab's phone.
And that tiny shoestring launch, it led to this explosive rise. And with that kind of success, it gets you the attention of some very, very powerful people.
I mean, their success was just immediate and incredible. In just 6 months, BarterLink was up and running in 40 different villages, totally revitalizing their local economies. It was so effective, in fact, it became a case study at one of India's top engineering schools on how to circulate rural wealth.
And that success brought a staggering number to the table, 100 crore rupees. That's a massive buyout offer, worth about $12 million from a billionaire investor named Kabir Malhotra. He wanted a 70% stake. I mean, this was their moment.
But this was Kabir Malhotra's philosophy. When Arav and Riya hesitated, he just laid out his cynical worldview for them. Money is the foundation of every empire. Not vision, not loyalty, gold. They'd hit a philosophical crossroads.
So Arav turned down the deal, and just look how fast the whole empire they had built crumbled. Day 2, their servers get hacked. Day 3, a corporate clone pops up, backed by Kabir's money, of course, and by day 7, BarterLink was completely destroyed. 1 week. That's all it took.
And this brings us to the absolute lowest point in the story. But it's often in these moments of total collapse that the most important idea of the entire narrative is finally revealed.
The collapse was total. The media just branded Arav a college fool. All the investors vanished. The dream was dead.
So there he is, sitting on a Mumbai rooftop, completely defeated, and that's when he has this revelation. He realized he'd made a huge mistake. He was so focused on the money, on the platform itself, that he totally missed the real power, controlling the flow of transactions.
And right from the ashes of that failure came a brand new idea, Flowchain. This wasn't just another app, it was a whole new philosophy. It was a decentralized blockchain network that made every single transaction secure and transparent. A system built on trust that couldn't be owned or just destroyed by some rival.
So they started all over again, this time with only 5,000 rupees left to their name, but with a new, crucial asset, a wise mentor, a retired banker named Mr. Roy. And with his guidance, they took their vision of trust-based digital trade to the entire world.
And this leads us to the final act, the triumph, not just of a company, but of an entirely new economic model. This was an empire built not on gold, but on purpose. I mean, the difference in philosophy here was just stark. The old empire, the one their rivals were running, was built on central control and hoarding all the profits for investors. Arab's new empire, it was all about decentralization, circulating wealth, and giving ownership to the employees and the users themselves.
And the results? Well, during a major recession, the difference was night and day. Vikram's centrally controlled empire just collapsed under the pressure, but Flowchain, built on this decentralized network of trust and shared ownership, wasn't just resilient, it thrived.
At his first global summit, Arav shared this new philosophy with the world. He explained that true economics It's not about how much you can accumulate for yourself, it's about empowering other people to create and build value for themselves.
And their real-world impact was just profound. Flowchain empowered entire communities. It let villages trade digitally, it cut out the middlemen who were exploiting farmers, and it turned countless small creators into their own micro-entrepreneurs.
This whole journey really forces us to step back and ask a crucial question. What is the true definition of wealth anyway? When someone asked him if he finally felt rich, Arav's answer just gets right to the very heart of his journey. He wasn't focused on becoming rich in the traditional sense. His goal was so much bigger. He wanted to fundamentally change what wealth even means.
And that's really the lesson, isn't it? The most valuable empires, the richest ones, are built on purpose, not on profit. Real economic strength comes from circulating power and opportunity, not just from hoarding money at the very top.
And that leaves us with a final question to think about, one that applies far beyond this one story. When you look at the world around you, which model do you see more often? One that's built on hoarding profit or one that's built on circulating power?